Would you like to do a roll call, Sarah?
Laura Greenlee-Karp is absent. Sarah Zahradka.
Here.
Lloyd Grachek.
Here.
Ingrid Koller.
Here.
Rachel Lucas. William Kealy is absent, and Cassidy Schweer is not here yet.
All right. Would we like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion? All right. Would we like to make an order for approval of minutes?
I would.
A vote? Oh, sorry. A vote to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. All right, thank you. Would we like to make a motion for approval of minutes?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Great. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we are open to the public. Anyone? Okay. With no one from the public, we can move on to the first action of business, which is by Jack here, our city attorney. Take it away.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the Parks and Rec Commission. My name is Jack Brooksbank. I'm the city attorney for North St. Paul. It's nice to meet all of you in person. I think we've sent an email or two around. You may have seen me if you've seen the city council meetings. I usually sit over there on the side, so I'm nice and out of the way. Here tonight just to kind of run through some of the kind of basic kind of public governance and transparency type laws that apply to you as in your roles as public officials on the Parks and Rec Commission. The point of this presentation is to be useful for all of you. So if at any point you have any questions, raise your hand, talk over me, whatever, jump in. If anything doesn't make sense, I'm here to answer your questions, make sure you get the info you need. I'm not here to listen to myself talk. So that's kind of what we're going to go through here. I also, I am the lawyer. It is my job to get up here and tell you that you're not allowed to have any fun. So
Too late.
that's what I like to hear secretly. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of the kind of rules and restrictions that apply to you as public officials. I do just want to, it's a lot of don't do this, don't do that. This thing seems very scary, don't do that. It's not because I am suspicious of any of you or think that you're doing anything wrong. We're running through everything so that we're all on the same page. Some of these things are tremendously counterintuitive. And we just want to make sure, the purpose of my being here, the purpose of the city having, an attorney on retainer, they can call me in, is to make sure that you're protected. That's the number one thing that we want. I always tell everyone, it can be the easiest lawsuit, and I love winning lawsuits, but being in the lawsuit kind of already means that we've lost to some extent. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of hassle. If you get called into a deposition, those can last for up to 8 hours, and they are, trust me, extremely boring. So we're just trying to avoid all of that. So that's kind of the baseline here. So I'm just going to kind of run through things. I'll try not to just read my materials too much. But like I said, if you have any questions at any point, just let me know. Kind of follow the outline here. So the first two kind of go together a little bit. So the open meeting law and data practices. So this is about public access to you, to your discussions, to your information. Both of these laws are passed as sort of public transparency type laws. And the idea is that we're trying to avoid, any kind of backroom dealing, secret discussions. And the legal phrase that gets used a lot is corruption or the appearance of corruption. So some of these things, they're written to go, wider than you think maybe they have to. And the reason for that is just, it's that if someone can be suspicious of what's happening, we're sort of already ceding some ground we don't want to. So they're written to be a little rigid, and they can be cumbersome, frankly. And so I don't want to, sugarcoat that. And you're going to hear some of these requirements, and you're going to say, that seems silly. And I might agree with you, but unfortunately, I don't get the decision to say, well, we should just not do that. That's the legislature that does that. So the open meeting law, as the name suggests, means that we have to have our meetings out in the open, in public. The definitions of what counts as public, what counts as open, and also what counts as a meeting are broader than you might think. So a meeting is when a quorum of any public body, and Parks and Rec Commission, you're a public body. So when a quorum of public body is together, and that's to make a decision, to discuss a possible decision, or to obtain information about a possible decision. And so that's a really broad, discussion, really broad definition of what that counts as. So that covers most types of discussion, frankly. Anytime that you're talking about business that's in front of the commission or possible business that's in front of the commission, arguably that could be a meeting if there's a quorum. Now again, there's we have the full 7 right now? Yes. So there's 7 members on the commission, so a quorum of the commission is 4 people. So any 4 people in one place having a discussion about city business, that's a meeting. A meeting can also be, right, it's about that discussion. So it's not necessarily an in-person meeting. So that's the other big thing, is that a meeting could be one of you sends an email to the rest of you. If there's a quorum CC'd on one email, that could constitute a meeting. If somebody else emails all of you at once, that doesn't count. They can't make you have a meeting. But if you reply all to an email that the entire commission is on, that could be a meeting. If that isn't, done out in the open in public with all the disclosures required, that could be a violation of the open meeting law. The other big one that can happen is Facebook comments or, social media. If there's 4 people in the comments on one thread, that does count as a meeting.
Like under a post?
Yeah, someone posts and we get 4 comments from 4 different people about, something city related. That's potentially a meeting. That's potentially a violation of the Open Meeting Law Act.
What if it's personal related, unrelated to city?
So there is an exception for this, which is, like I said, a meeting is making a decision, discussing or obtaining information about business or potential business. So there is an exception for it's a purely social event. So if someone has, a Christmas party, or you're, doing something totally unrelated to your, your duties as commissioners, that does not count as a meeting. So if 4 of you happen to run into each other in the aisle at the grocery store, that's probably not a meeting. If you start talking about city business, it becomes a meeting.
Okay.
The other thing important here is the meeting, it's not based on there's no formalities involved. So the fact that you're commenting from your personal Facebook account does not mean it's not a meeting. So just the fact that you're on your personal social media commenting on personal things, if you are commenting on, things that could be official business before you, that could potentially count as a meeting. Now, again, it's only a meeting if there's 4 people there. But, so the gold standard advice is just don't talk about stuff that might come before the commission outside of, sort of the really official channels. Obviously, understanding we live in a modern world, and 100% just don't talk about it isn't really, not really an option. But just being aware of that, being careful with that. The other important thing to keep in mind is a thing called a serial meeting. A serial meeting is where one person sends an email to one person who sends an email to one person who sends an email to a 4th person. Now we have 4 people on an email chain. That is now a meeting. So, and again, the idea of all of this is that, the decisions that you're making and the rationale for those decisions should all be hashed out in public at a public meeting. And so the idea that what we're trying to avoid is having you kind of discuss amongst yourselves, build the consensus, and then go out in public and take the vote now that you already know what you're going to do, right? We want that thinking and that discussion to take place in public as well.
What if we got three commissioners and a city staff?
Not a quorum, not a meeting. So that's why you will notice if you have some subcommittees or things set up already, you will notice all of those will be quorum -1 number of commissioners. That's why. Texting also could possibly constitute a meeting. The good news is that if there is going to be a meeting, if there is something that 4 of you want to go to that might involve some discussion of city business, so something like you want to have Parks and Rec night at the History Cruisers, or set up a booth or pass out flyers about an event, or you all 4 of you want to go to the same yoga in the park event or something. It's pretty easy. The requirements are fairly minimal. So there's regular meetings. This is a regular meeting. You're supposed to schedule those at the beginning of the year. Those are fine. Other than that, anything that's not a regular meeting is called a special meeting. And we just have to post about it at least 3 days in advance. And city staff, they do this all the time. We post meetings all the time. So if you're thinking, oh, well, 4 of us are going to be at some event, just email Sarah and say, hey, 4 of us are going to be at this event, and we'll just post it and say, potential meeting happening here, and then we're covered. Yes.
So, if a lot of us are going, hopefully a lot of us want to go to a lot of park events, but we may not know that the other is going. We won't know until we arrive at the event, perhaps. And in that case, is that considered a special meeting? If several park, commissioners are at a park event, which seems very likely, but yet we're not, maybe one of us has volunteered to work the event, or 2, and the other 2 just show up. I mean, we don't know when we're going to be a meeting, a special meeting, or a.
Yeah, and, there's some sort of practical here. Again, the sort of, purely private or purely social event exception does exist. And I will say, if there are 4 park commissioners at a park event, to somebody who isn't, right next to you the whole time, that's going to look like a meeting if there's 4 park commissioners at a park event.
Isn't that what we want, is to participate in the park?
I think he's saying, like, if we have a concert in the park, like, we don't all have to sit next to each other. We can go and enjoy it, and not.
Yeah,
all
if you're somewhere in the crowd, that's not necessarily, it has to be like the 4 of you kind of together. So depending on the size of the event.
And does it have to do with what we're talking about? Like, if we're not discussing a park event, or a park?
Yes, so if all 4 of you are at a park event, in a park, talking about literally nothing to do with city business, that is technically not a meeting. Mm-hmm. If we get sued about that, we have to prove what you talked about.
Okay.
So it's still a giant pain. So,
Yeah.
And again, the actual notice requirements are pretty minimal. So what I recommend doing normally is just, if you think there's a possibility that you might have 4 people at an event, just post it. There is no penalty for posting for a meeting and then not having the meeting. There is only a penalty if you have a meeting without having posted it.
And to post it means let Sarah know.
Yeah.
Which I do that usually. If I
Okay.
think there's going to be, same with the Arts Commission. If we think there's a potential, like a bigger event that the parks are doing, we post it anyway. You guys don't even know about it because there's not a
Okay,
reason
great,
to.
great.
But always letting me know would be helpful too, if you think you're going
Yeah,
to attend
because
something,
we
just
don't
in case.
often know. I'm not on Facebook. I don't know when everyone else is going to be attending something until I'm there.
Really?
Is
You
that,
answered my question. Exactly what I was going to, yeah.
is that
Good
something
job,
that
Sarah.
Kealy keeps track of as well?
Yeah, because
So if like each of us individually tell her we're volunteering, will she then communicate that to you, Sarah?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and something that I know the city council finds very helpful is they just take a couple of minutes at the end of every meeting and they say, okay, what are the events for the next, they do every meeting every 2 weeks, so they say, what are the events for the next 2 weeks? Is anyone going to those events? And so they'll say, oh, we have a fire department thing on Friday. I was planning on going to that. And someone else will say, well, I was planning on going to that. And then if a third person says, oh, actually, I was thinking I might go to that too, and then we just look over at the clerk and say, okay, let's post that.
it's posted. Okay.
And so as long as we do that at least 3 days in advance, we're totally in the clear. So, it really is, it's an over-disclose kind of a law. It's fairly, once you kind of get in the hang of it, it's just anytime you're like, I wonder if that might be a meeting. Hey, let's post it. And it becomes pretty mechanical. So it's
Can
fairly easy to keep track of.
Can we build that into our routine so that at the end of every meeting, we're checking in with you on that? Or each other on what's coming up next month and,
Or-
yeah,
make it-
let's make that a part of every meeting.
And every event, maybe?
Yes, right.
It's to
Well, when
say-
we discuss a certain, yes.
Yeah, so she could have just put it on every meeting, or every event that we have.
Yeah.
Could do that. You can just post,
If it doesn't matter, we're covering ourselves.
yeah, that would also be a way to do it, is just, if there is an official Parks event,
Right.
just post that there might be a quorum of the Parks and Rec Commission there.
So
Do that.
Okay.
does that mean we can talk about things if we know it's a meeting at an event?
Yeah?
Okay.
Just can't make decisions, right?
Yeah, so for a special
Right.
meeting, there are, so you have to say like what the purpose of the meeting is. So you can, if you say like, oh, we're going to this event, you know, basically you're sort of limited to like, we can talk about like this event. Because for this meeting, we can kind of talk about anything because it's a general meeting. For a special meeting, you actually have to provide an agenda as well. And so, you know, if you're at, you know, yoga in the park, I probably would not talk about like the capital improvement plan.
Right.
I don't know that there's much risk of that happening anyway, but just for an example.
As you're doing Archer. Hey, by the way, did you hear what the?
All right, we're going to keep this moving along, so he's not here all night.
Good
Nor
job,
are we.
Sarah. Good job, Sarah.
So there are some times when you can have it's called a closed meeting, which is when we go into closed session. It's private. It's you know, not open to the public. We can have a confidential discussion. For the most part, those situations are not going to come up for the Parks and Rec Commission. It'd be hard to think of, you know, there's a list of them in here. They don't really come up. The one thing I do just want to highlight here, penalties. These are specific to intentional violations. So this is if you are trying to get around right. Anytime there's like a good faith, oh, we thought we did the right thing, but we maybe didn't, it's not as bad. If there are intentional violations, there can be financial penalties. For some of those financial penalties, the city is not allowed to pay them for you. So if you are intentionally trying to get around the open meeting law, it could end up with you having to pay your own money as a fine. Again, we'd like to avoid that. Related to the open meeting, we'll move on. Data practices. This is another big one. Data Practices Act, if you've heard of a FOIA request, that's like the federal equivalent. The Data Practices Act, that's the state law that governs all of this. So it handles government data and gives people the ability to request government data. Again, just kind of starting with some of those definitions, government data is all data collected, created, received, maintained, or disseminated by state or local government, and that includes by state or local government officials. So that could be paper documents, emails, text messages, phone call records, all of those things. It is not, again, it is not defined by like the name on the account. It is defined by who is talking and what are they talking about. So if you are talking about government business, anything created as part of that is government data. So again, if you're texting somebody, that's government data. If you make a Facebook post, that is government data. You know, this goes sort of, you know, it's fairly all-encompassing if that is how you are talking about government business. So again, just kind of my top-line recommendation here is we have these meetings where we can discuss whatever we need to discuss. You all have official city email addresses. I would really urge you to try your best to keep communications about Parks and Rec items to meetings and your city email. Because again, to the extent there is ever any litigation, or not even litigation, because with government data, someone can just turn in a letter and say, please give me all the data you have about whatever subject I have identified. And so the best thing for you is if I get one of those letters and I call you up and I say, hey, we've gotten a request for all data about you know, this park event. Do you have anything on your personal devices? And you can just say, no. And then that's the end of it. We don't have to do anything. If you're texting, you know, other commission members, or you've got Instagram messages about it or whatever, we have to go grab those off of your device because that's government data and we have to provide that. This is, again, a huge pain for everyone, and so it's just best all around if we don't have to do that. There are a few different classifications. The The default classification for all government data in Minnesota is public. Public means public. Public means it can be requested by, viewed by, copied by anybody. Data is only not public if there is a specific statute that says that kind of data is not public. So again, barring, and it mostly tends to be things like certain types of law enforcement data or sort of sensitive like financial information, personnel history, that sort of thing. So again, texting somebody about what's going on in the parks is going to be public data. City has, again, there's an official form that anybody can fill out. It's not limited to city residents. It's not limited to Minnesota residents. They don't have to provide a reason for why they want the data. They can ask for as much as they want to, subject to they have to pay some fees if they make us do too much work. But anyone can request any data. So it's pretty wide open. Again, I would just urge you to keep to the official channels. If you are using your official email address on like a home computer or a smartphone, all of that is also backed up on the system here at the city. It's all accessible here at the city. So even if you've been emailing on your official email address from your phone, we wouldn't count that as being data on your phone because we already have it on the servers here. So we wouldn't have to get your device to do an extra search as long as it's on your official email.
So just texting a friend, a neighbor, whatever, and saying, hey, there's yoga in the park this weekend, is that public data?
Probably not if it's just like, if it's you texting a friend as a friend, probably not. If you put out if you're making an Instagram or Facebook post
Yeah, no,
and you say, hey, whoever's seeing this, there's yoga at the park this weekend, that probably does count.
Yeah,
And so
okay.
it's like what role are you in? Again, there's that sort of like if it's just a social, if it's a friend that you do yoga with and you say, hey, there's yoga here also, let's go there.
Okay.
That's probably not government data.
thanks.
So that's kind of the Data Practices Act. And again, anytime you have any questions about, any of that stuff, feel free to let Sarah or Ava know. They can pass questions on to me. It's very complicated, but again, day to day, there's lots of like exceptions and counter exceptions that don't really ever come up for a Parks and Rec Commission. So for the most part, shouldn't have to think about it too much, but I do just want you to be aware of it. Next topic is conflicts of interest. This one is, again, we're getting to be a little bit more intuitive on some of these ones. Conflicts of interest. You all kind of know what a conflict of interest is. You all know that they're bad. There are some statutes about it. They mostly track a common sense understanding of sort of how to deal with these things. There are some specific ways for different potential conflicts of interest on how to deal with them, whether that's a recusal, what that does to vote counts, all of those sorts of sort of more technical details. If a conflict of interest is ever coming up, mostly just let Sarah or Ava or me, if you happen to have my email or if I'm around, just let one of us know, and we can walk you through the kind of like, okay, here's what happens now with that. For the most part, we just be thinking of conflicts of interest.
You can tell I have a question. What would be a potential conflict of interest for us?
So there are some technicalities. It's different if it is a contract or something else. So if the city is hiring somebody or some company to do something, then a conflict is much more narrowly, or much more broadly, it's like a much stricter standard because we don't want to be, hiring family members or, hiring a lawn care company that one of the Parks and Rec commissioners is a member of or owns or something like that.
Okay.
So for those ones, it's can be quite strict. For non-contract situations, it can be a little bit less strict. Basically, any time where somebody is before you with making some kind of a request, some kind of an ask of the city, where you have some kind of an outside relationship with the person making the request. So that can be financial, that can be some kind of a business relationship, that can be a familial relationship if it's a parent, a sibling, some kind of a thing where you have an interest in both sides. Parks and Rec Commission, you're probably not dealing with contracts as nearly as often, but it's still potentially coming up in terms of looking at proposals for maintenance or proposals for new park facilities. Just making sure that if you have a family member who works for the architecture firm that might be designing a playground, just making sure you're disclosing that. For the most part, the remedy for that is you have to recuse yourself. So just like during that one specific item, you just go sit in the audience while the discussion happens. And then for vote counts, if you are recused for a conflict of interest, you don't count towards the quorum. So if there's 7 members on the commission and 2 of them have a conflict of interest, for that item, we consider votes out of 5. So some things require a unanimous vote. That's still possible even if someone has a conflict of interest and has to sit it out. Best practice, again, is over-disclose. If you think you might have a conflict of interest, talk to staff about it. Staff can talk to me about it. If you feel like it might affect your decision-making, generally we'll have you sit out. If you don't know if it's a conflict of interest or not, we can work with staff. We can give you some advice on if it's the kind of thing you might have to sit out on or not. Generally, again, transparency is the name of the game. We're just trying not to. We don't want anyone to be mad at us, even if we are technically correct. Related to conflict of interests, gift laws. So that is an interested person cannot give you gift. An interested person is someone who has an interest, direct financial or other interest in something that might be before the city. For city business, that's most people. And so we kind of look at this pretty broadly. Gift means anything of value. There's a de minimis exception, so anything less than $5 we don't necessarily count. So if you're at a conference or something and someone wants to give you a pen or a stress ball, that doesn't count as a gift. That's not something that has to be, disclosed. You're going to get in trouble over. But it could be anything else. So that could be plaques, memorials. That could be food. That's probably the one that gets people in trouble the most often is someone says, hey, I know you're on the Parks Commission. Can I buy you dinner and hear your opinion about something? And the answer is no, they can't. There are some exceptions. Again, it's sort of de minimis things, gifts by your family members, right? Again, it's sort of, if you're not receiving the gift because of your position within the city, then it's not really going to count. So that's kind of the big ethics laws, the big rules that we've kind of got. And again, they can be a little technical and a little unwieldy, and some of them don't always make a whole lot of sense, but that's what they are. If you ever had any questions, don't hesitate to ask. The rest of the presentation, we have a couple of topics here just to kind of go through kind of how some of the city operations and how some of that stuff works, just stuff that you might be running into. So you have some notes here on roles of the city manager. So North St. Paul is a city manager city, as opposed to, you will hear some other cities, they will talk about their city administrator. I continually wish that they picked 2 words that were more different than manager and administrator. They didn't. Again, nobody asked my opinion on this. The basic difference is that a manager has more power, more direct authority than an administrator does. So our city manager, that's Brian. I'm sure you've probably all met him or seen him around. He's sort of like the CEO of the city, and then the city council is kind of the board of directors of the city. And so they're much more hands-off, kind of big picture authorization type of stuff. And Brian has a lot of kind of the day-to-day, he hires employees, he can fire employees and, promote people, move people around. He kind of does most of the day-to-day city administration, those sorts of things. He also has purchasing authority. So anything that is less than $20,000, if we need to buy something, that can be done through the manager's authority. So if we're having a park event and we need, something there to, we need a bucket of sidewalk chalk for a night in the park or something, that can go through. We have a purchasing policy. You can talk to your staff people. They can go ahead and get you those supplies. We don't need to really do too much about it. The city manager does not have the authority to enter into sort of longer-term contracts on behalf of the city. Those all have to go through the city council. So difference would be if we're, providing art supplies for a night in the park, that's the kind of thing that we can just go buy. If we are hiring an artist to teach people in the park, that is going to be the kind of thing that we're going to need, some more city council authorization to go do something like that. So again, it's just kind of like what the process is. For you guys, the city council wants to be supportive. We appreciate all of the work that you guys do. A lot of the events that get put on are delightful. And so we're not trying to kind of really be looking over your shoulder too much. And mostly I would think about this in terms of how much advance notice do you need on something. If we need city council approval in order to do something, that has to go on a city council agenda. City council only meets once every 2 weeks. Sometimes there's already stuff on that agenda that's going to take up all the time, so it might not go for a meeting or two. So just kind of thinking about that in terms of the amount of time it takes to get that approval, more than it's usually not that hard to get the city council to say yes to the kinds of park events that we've been doing. So it's mostly kind of a timing thing. My kind of final thing here is Robert's Rules of Order. We kind of go through this stuff. I'm not going to spend too much time on Robert's Rules of Order. My general rule is that if you have two people who are fighting about Robert's Rules of Order, no, they aren't. They're fighting about something else. Something else has gone wrong, and they're trying to use that as part of a larger conflict. Now that said, we do have some kind of basic procedural requirements. We want to make sure there's votes on things, and that if someone is looking back and looking at 5 years from now, and we want to say, oh my gosh, whoever thought yoga in the park was a good idea, they can go back, they can look at the minutes, they can say, oh, it was voted on, at this meeting, and specifically like which one of you voted yes. We want to be keeping record of that. If it's a unanimous decision, we will write it down as unanimous, and then that we trust people to do the math themselves on. If you were there and it was unanimous, then what was your vote? That's good enough. So it's not overall sort of that burdensome. The general kind of flow, you were doing a great job, kind of going through the start of it. We have someone who's the chair of the meeting. They will introduce a business item. Someone will make a motion. There will be some discussion. There might be sometimes for some, park items, there might be a public hearing involved. So there you just want to make sure you're very clear about, when is the commission having a discussion amongst the commissioners, and then when is the public allowed to come up and say their piece. I would say this is probably the one that gets off the rails most frequently, is if there's something that is, considered to be a little bit controversial. I've seen this happen a lot when cities are continuing or considering either establishing a new park or getting rid of an old park. People have very strong opinions about that. People will come in, they want to talk, they want to say their piece, they want to be part of the conversation. If we're having a 7-person conversation amongst the commissioners, we can kind of keep a lid on things and keep track of things. If it's a really contentious issue and we're trying to have a conversation with 50 people where everyone is kind of talking at the same time, it just doesn't go well, and then things take a really long time. I was at a meeting until almost 11 last night. No one likes that. It can feel kind of uncomfortable or unnecessarily formal if there's kind of people out in the audience, and some of them might know something about what we're talking about, right? If we're talking about, I know there's a lot of people who do volunteer, kind of park cleanup and these sorts of events. We might be talking about it as the commission, and it might seem like a good idea to just say, oh, hey, John in the audience, like, what do you know about what's going on in this park? And it can feel a little unnecessarily formal to be like, and now we open the floor to public comment about this item. But really, the reason that we do that, even when it's a small item, because usually there's like one person, and we could include them in the conversation and it would be fine. The reason why we do that is that if the general practice is people in the audience can just be an open part of the conversation, it makes it really hard in situations where we don't want that to happen to try and enforce the rule. Even if it's a very good reason, right? Like, we'll let one person talk, we won't let 50 people talk. It's just we want to keep everything kind of on even footing.
Are we allowed to open up discussion topics to the public? Because I thought we were only had that option at the beginning of the meeting.
So at the beginning of the meeting, you have what's like a public comment period, which is a time for anyone to bring whatever they want to your attention. Under the rules that we kind of have written up there, the open forum part of it is for items that are not otherwise on the agenda.
Okay.
So that is for, hey, I don't know if you're aware, but here's something that you might need to address at a future meeting, or talk to staff about, or, the bathrooms at Casey Lake Park are out of toilet paper or whatever. So someone can come in and sort of bring those to your attention at the public forum. For sort of more normal business items, usually we don't have the public there. For some things, we are required to have a public hearing where we have a formal opportunity where we say we're opening a public meeting or a public hearing. Anyone who is from the public who wants to comment can now come up to the microphone and say their part. For some things, we are required to do that. We can if we want to, even if it's not required. And so if there's a lot of people here who have strong feelings about it, and we think there might be some value in, having and again, keeping it kind of as an orderly process, and we say, if you want to speak on this, come up to the microphone, we'll give people 3 minutes, we'll have everyone talk one at a time, you can say your comment, and then we'll have you sit down. Once everyone's said their comment, then, the commission will discuss. We're not gonna have kind of an open-ended 50-person discussion about something. You always have that option. There are a few things, sort of motions. That's like, we want to consider a business item. There are some secondary motions. We have some action to take about this other thing that we're already considering. Motion to amend is probably the most common one. Generally speaking, motions and secondary motions all require a motion and a second, and then a vote. Even a motion to amend, there is, under Robert's rules, no such thing as a friendly amendment. So under Robert's rules, there is no such thing as a friendly amendment. So friendly amendment, it's not the end of the world. If it happens, it's not going to invalidate anything. This is mostly me being a lawyer about it, but where someone will say, I make a motion to approve, whatever this is, and then someone says, oh, wouldn't that be better if we approved it with this condition in it? And then if the person who makes the motion agrees with that, there is a tendency to just say, oh yeah, let's pretend that was the motion that I actually made. And you either have to restate it, or you have to say, like, one person will say, I make a motion to approve this, this park plan or whatever. And then someone else will say, I would like to amend the approval to be approved with conditions. And then you have to have a second and a vote on the amendment If that passes, that is now part of the original motion, and you now have to have a second vote on the actual business item that you're doing. Again, these rules are kind of designed for larger, more sort of legislature-style bodies, so it can be a little clunky. And ultimately, as long as the rules are fair and everyone on the commission gets a chance to say their piece, and everyone knows exactly what it is that they are discussing and voting on at any given time, we're not really going to have any problems if, you can pull out Robert's rules and say, actually, that was supposed to be, the speaker was supposed to, or the chair was supposed to make that motion and not the vice chair. As long as everyone is following what's happening, we're good to go. But that's just kind of the overall kind of cadence of how to do the general business. And so we just want to make sure that someone is stating, what are we voting on? And then we're having a vote on that item. About the only time where this starts to get really that complicated is there are provisions that we can have people attend meetings remotely. That's part of the open meeting law. There's some requirements in how you post that. If someone is attending remotely, then we have to do what's called a roll call vote, which is instead of all in favor say aye and everyone says yes, we have to go down the line and say, Commissioner Grachek, yes. Commissioner Zahradka, yes. Commissioner Koller, yes. And we have to get those individual votes if someone's appearing remotely.
I was just going to clarify whether you meant if the commissioners were meeting virtually or if any public was meeting virtually.
Yes, so it's the commissioner. If a member of the commission is appearing remotely, the rules are at least one person has to be here physically present in the meeting place. And then there are some notice requirements. And then everyone has to be able to see and hear each other and everything that is being said. So there are options available if you have to Zoom in to a meeting. You cannot call in by phone because then no one can see you. So that's kind of that, but.
Does that person have to be in public? I remember that being a discussion.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, okay.
Not anymore. They changed it. You used to have to disclose where you were, and it had to be a place that was publicly accessible. And then COVID happened, and everyone said, well, why are we doing this? So we've seen meetings where someone's at I think I had one where someone was in the mess hall of a Boy Scout camp. And so we posted the mess hall of camp such and such is the location where this commissioner is. Anyone who wants to observe them during the meeting can go to the mess hall at this camp if you really want to.
If you'd really like to.
We don't have to do that anymore, thank goodness. So that's kind of my presentation. I have just thrown a whole lot of information at you. I know that was a lot. I've been doing a lot of talking up here. Mostly, again, we just want you to be all kind of aware of these rules. We want you to kind of have that little voice in the back of your head of, if you see people out and about and you're thinking about talking and you just kind of go man, weren't there some rules about this or something? And for the most part, if your instinct is, weren't there some rules about this? Hey, Sarah, are there rules about this? 99.8% of the time, that is going to cover you just fine. So, again, we don't expect any of you to, be your own lawyer. Most of the time, dealing with these things is not that complicated. We just want you to be kind of cognizant of some of these requirements. And if you ever have any questions about sort of this, really the nitty-gritty specifics of, my cousin's girlfriend's niece is a member of this lawn care company that we're considering. Is that a conflict of interest? No, it's probably not. But if you have something like that where you're just wondering about it, again, just reach out to staff and we can kind of walk you through everything. For the most part, people get stung by some of these things every now and again. And for the most part, sometimes you see people getting in trouble and you go, oh God, there but for the grace of God go I. And for the most part, with these kinds of things, you see the things that are going on that get people in trouble, and you go, well, yeah, of course you're going to get in trouble for that. So it's not, we don't try and be kind of like gotcha about it. You know, I think the big one, there was a open meeting law violation where there was a city council that was talking about, basically they were just talking about something that was going to be very unpopular. And so they just had their attorney attend the meeting and said, nope, this is attorney-client privileged. Everyone else get out of here. We don't want you listening. And that is not how attorney-client privilege works. So that did not go well for them. So for the most part, it's just sort of like, anytime you're trying to do something like really clever, usually that's how you get in trouble. But again, the actual requirements are not overly onerous. If you're going to be somewhere, make sure it's posted. If you're going to talk to somebody, make sure it's on your official email address. If for some reason there's some need to you, if a member of the public emails you on your personal email address, forward that to your official email address and then reply from there. If you need to take a photo of something, you want some photos for the website of a park event or something like that. Take a photo on your phone, email that photo to yourself, again, at your official email address, and then delete it off of your phone. And now there's no government data on your phone. It's all on the city's system, and we don't have to, merge those two things. So it's all fairly easy to keep track of, but we just kind of want you to be aware of this stuff.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks so much, Jack.
I do have one question, mostly just for me, because I was curious. So if our chairperson isn't here, so Sarah is doing our vice chair. If Sarah wasn't here, who is supposed to run the meeting? What does that look like
Rock, paper, scissors.
if the chair and vice chair are both gone?
Yeah, so you have a designated chair, you have a designated vice chair. Other than that, if those two are gone, but you still have a quorum, so we can still do business, you designate somebody.
Okay.
So it's just, and then you would want to kind of make a record of, you'd open the meeting and you'd say, we are now opening the meeting. The members have designated Commissioner Koller as chair for the evening. And then you just move on with it.
Okay, that's simple.
Yeah?
Thanks so much, Jack. We appreciate your time. Thank you
Yeah,
for coming.
absolutely. And like I said, reach out to your staff liaisons. They're great. They'll probably be able to answer most of your questions. If they can't answer something, they know where to find me. We'll make sure that you get the answers you need.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, we'll keep moving on then. Election of officers. We're going to not put that off anymore.
Yes, and to state, Laura has expressed interest in being chair again for 2026. I received that word via email. So we'll start with the chair. If there's anyone else interested in being chair, otherwise we can move for a vote. Okay?
We're just voting on the chair first and then the vice.
Yeah, we'll do them.
I make a motion,
Thank you.
I make a motion, Lord Greenlee-Karp is the chair for 2026.
I second. Want to take a vote? We want to do this? A vote? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Perfect.
She's voted in. Does anybody want to be vice chair? Sit in this big
I
seat?
assume you want to be vice chair.
I was put in this position. I was not asked, but I don't mind being vice chair. Think Laura-
Should I make a?
Sure.
I make a motion that Sarah Zahradka be vice chair.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
You have to feel the love.
I know. Thank you. Of all four of us, thank you.
It's a fun ride.
I was gone last year during that meeting, and Laura messaged me. She's like, "You're the vice chair."
Yeah, by
I'm
the
like,
way,
"Oh, I
yeah.
am." Okay.
Yeah, we by the way, you.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, well, good to know."
You do great.
Yeah.
They both do.
All right. Well, so I guess we don't need any other officers since we know you'll just designate someone. Do we want to try to power through this lakes thing that you found here, the review of Chapter 92?
Yeah, it shouldn't be
Yeah.
terrible. I can go
Yeah.
through it pretty quickly. So, yes, the Chapter 92 of our city code, which covers parks and lakes, I decided I wanted to take a look at it and realized most of it had not been updated since 1989. Oops. Yeah, so I took some time along with our Community Development Director, Ken Roberts, to look through it, make recommended updates. So the first portion of your packet that refers to this shows all the track changes. Since then, we've done some formatting changes, so you can ignore like the letters and numbers that are out of order. But the content is the same. And then the second portion you'll see is the cleaner version. Essentially what we did is we looked at what are current issues or things that are in our parks that we need to address, as well as looking at other cities in the area, other communities to see what they have in theirs, and develop these recommendations. I will say one addition that I would like to recommend that isn't in the packet. We had a resident reach out with some comments on the recommendations, and they recommended banning glass beverage bottles in all of our city parks. City staff is supportive of that as well, so if we want to add that language, let me know.
That would be great.
And I can do that, but just wanted to get your thoughts on this, and if you like what we have in here, we can take a vote today, and I will bring it to council on April 7th. If we feel we need to table it or have additions or anything, I can certainly do that as well, so.
Just one question about the glass. I'm in support of that when I think about people sitting around the park drinking like a glass bottle.
Sure.
My one question is, we allow alcohol in our buildings, and wine would be a big part of that, and wine doesn't come in anything usually. But most people aren't buying the boxed wine if they're buying Prosecco or something. So my question would be, is there a way to amend it to say like no open alcohol in the park, like no glass bottles? I don't know exactly how to write this, but I'm trying to think of like, if I rented the building and I couldn't bring wine, I might be ticked about that, so.
It does currently say in our park rental policy, no glass, and we have not had an issue. or no
Okay, well.
complaints. However, we can amend that, that's not a problem, but it does currently say that.
Well, if
If it hasn't been a problem.
it sounds like people are probably doing it and they're just not making a mess of it or something, but.
Which I feel like if we want to include glass in the park rental policy, I think it would be better.
Maybe that's different than the
Add to
park.
that rather
Yeah,
than
versus this, yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I'm definitely on board, like someone sitting out by the volleyball thing, drinking a Jarritos or something, and it breaks, yeah, it's just,
Okay.
yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, there's just it's like a lot of additions in here. I would say the biggest ones to highlight would be, we added a lot to not damaging, particularly the vegetation in the parks, as well as some additional language in the littering section, and then we've updated the section on vehicles, e-bikes, bicycles, skateboards, motorized foot scooters. We're becoming aware of e-motos as well, so that may be something, I might add some language in here for that too, just to make sure we're covered, but those are kind of the main changes. Yeah, so if there's any comments or questions or concerns, I'm happy to take that.
I think it's great. Thanks for catching this and looking back.
Oh, and it officially updates the park hours. We voted on that, but it never got changed in the city ordinance.
Okay,
So
yeah,
this would then remedy that as well.
great.
Wait, what is park hours 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
Oh, and this is shorter period than that.
yep.
Page number, what's the page? So what are we going now?
Well,
Where are we going
McKnight
to?
Fields too has a separate time listed, because I'm like, 9 a.m., that's late
So
for a
what we're
park, but then
talking
I'm.
about, it
is
starts
McKnight
on page
Fields, which I'm
19.
like, okay.
Oh, that's because it's for residential.
But, yeah, the park hours are kind of spread out through this. There's a few times where it's listed and it's been wrong, so we're gonna make sure that that gets updated.
So we're doing what, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., we said?
7 a.m., 10 p.m.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looks great, Sarah. Thanks for all the
Yeah,
hard work on that.
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
A lot of minute details you got to comb through in that capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is gonna be really helpful, really great. A lot to stand on if there is damage or anything in the parks as well, so.
Can I ask a question about,
Sure.
under the, no person may hitch, number 4, and any animal or fasten, anchor, or otherwise attach a wire rope or sign, blah, 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 to any tree, shrub, or plant? How hard and fast is that rule? Because, like, if someone is having a barbecue and they want to
Table.
have their pet, their dog at the event, and they want to tie a leash around a tree, a substantial tree,
Yes.
is that a problem?
I would say, to be completely transparent, this is more of a reactive rule rather than proactive, so we're not going to go out and look for that.
Yeah, right.
However, if there were damage due to that, we have
Yeah,
a leg to stand
okay.
on.
Okay.
Don't be tying your horse up to any bush. Be
I won't
saddling your
hitch-
giddy up
I
in
won't
over there.
hitch my giddy up
Don't hitch
to
your
any
giddy up to
trees.
any. Unless it's a real big tree. That's the first thing I thought is, I'm like, what kind of animals are we? Oklahoma? Like, that was a rule.
It lists
In my neighborhood, you could not tether your horse to anyone's
Okay.
light
mules
pole.
listed.
Good to know.
Need a motion, Sarah, or not?
Yes, yeah, I would take a motion if we,
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendments in the notes,
I would say chapter 92 of the
the
city
notes,
code.
chapter 92, the Parks and Lakes, as noted in the minutes, or
The packet.
in the packet. Okay.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, so moved.
Damn.
There was a discussion to potentially push the next topic, park representatives, to the next meeting, since we are lacking a couple people tonight, and we might want their insight on what parks they might want to be assigned to. So
Yeah.
I suggest I make a motion to move that topic to the April meeting.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, reports from staff.
All right, I got a few here, but I will make it quick. The first one, I will need feedback on, though. As I mentioned in a previous email, we were looking at May 16th as our date for the citywide parks cleanup. We did the citywide cleanup last year, however, the weather didn't really cooperate, so there wasn't a huge turnout, but I know that there was interest in doing it again this year. May 16th would be in line, the same as last year. It would be the weekend after the citywide cleanup event. So it kind of still make May that like North St. Paul cleanup month. We also have interest from the Rotary Club would like to collaborate with the Parks Commission. They would like to clean up Rotary Park that day. So I'm just looking for feedback. If that date seems like it would work, we can certainly decide on parks when there's more commissioners here that we want to focus on, but just preliminarily, if we can want to move forward or not.
Can I clarify? The Lake Association, are they on board with that date?
I have mentioned it to them, but I have not heard back yet.
Because that is a problem when those two are different dates.
Sure.
Then that becomes more of a burden on, it just becomes very difficult to find people to clean, the people who show up to clean up at Silver Lake Park are the Lake Commission. They're
Sure.
very good about it. So I strongly feel like those, we should be selecting the date, those should be the same date.
Okay.
Like, so do they know yet what their date is?
I haven't heard. I would say if we wait too much longer to select our date, however, we won't be able to discuss it until April, and then we can't really promote it until it's kind of late. So that's why,
Would it be possible just to, do you have their contact information? Could we just email them tomorrow and say, hey, here's the date we're proposing, but do you need us to vote on it?
nope,
Okay.
nope, just
Then you
want to
don't-
make,
just-
I just wanted to get your
yeah.
feedback, and if we
Okay.
can start promoting it at least.
Okay.
If that's the date.
I think we should pick an earlier date, because I know last year, even though it was a cold, poor weather day, that there wasn't much to clean up because the maintenance crews, it had warmed up substantially several weeks prior, and they'd already gone around and cleaned up most of everything, so there's very little to clean up.
Okay.
Our issue has been, though, the last few years, it's been in April, and our turnout is bad, and the weather has been notoriously bad. I mean, the weather in May can be bad, too, to be honest, but
I don't think we can plan on weather. I think we have to plan on,
I think they're trying to tie it around the citywide, like, because there's also the citywide event where you can take anything and dump it, so I think they're trying to tie it together.
Yeah, it's that first weekend of May. Now is the Trash to Treasure event along with the citywide garage sale. Then the second weekend is the citywide cleanup. So in the third weekend had been the parks, just so it all ties in. If it were me, I would recommend then pushing it out. Hearing what you're saying, but once folks start using the parks more, like in June, July, that would be when I would recommend doing it rather than pushing it earlier into April.
I could see merit in that, like after Memorial Day, because didn't you mention that after Memorial Day, Silver Lake needed to be picked up? Or was that 4th of July?
Oh, that's you, yeah, actually, that happens. Memorial, it gets a lot of use on that weekend. But I think the city's pretty good about picking up the garbage after that. But yeah, but I feel like it's just always been this spring event, not a summer event. I think we'd have an even lower turnout.
I was
if
going
we
to
tried
say, I'm
do
like, if you do
something
it
in
after
the-
Memorial Day, everyone's at their cabins.
Yeah,
and no
no,
weekend.
it's a weekend thing,
Not me,
and
but-
I think it's easier to get people to show up if it is in the spring and generally around the same time of the year
Sure.
as it has been. But, so, has it been in April before? Is that what
I
we're?
think years ago it was.
I feel like was last year May?
Last year was May.
Because I feel like most of the years I've done it, it was always around Earth Day. Like we tried to do an Earth Day
Yes,
thing, and it was always like April 20th.
And the high school
It snowed one year.
used to be involved in it, but I don't know that they're involved in it anymore. Nope, okay.
Not so
Wasn't
much.
in your email, you mentioned the Rotary Club, the Silver Lake Foundation, and then didn't you mention that the Rotary Club was going to reach out to?
They were going to reach out to the high school and see, the issue is because we do this on a weekend,
Oh.
it's hard for those students, so.
Yeah.
Well, here's a thought too. So you're saying the problem was the city comes and cleans stuff up. So it might be like a Casey, Northwood, they might be clean. Maybe we need to focus on like, you know what looks terrible? The environmental place right off of 36 where everyone throws their trash from the holiday. That pond over by Target where trash just blows in. Like maybe we need to refocus this on untraditional parks that are near bus stops because that is where like you drive by that subway and it is trash city, like, but no one ever goes there. The city kind of, they mow, but they don't really pick it up.
And I wonder if we can expand outside the parks too. Like, I know.
Because, I mean, I guarantee you if you go anywhere on the Gateway, I mean, in that environmental park right there does have a trail. And I don't see as much trash there, but right off of County Road B or South.
I know the Rotary would want to do that.
Yeah, and then Rotary Park would probably be near the highway, so like, I'm thinking maybe maybe we keep the date, but we focus, I mean, we can keep Silver Lake is gonna do what Silver Lake is gonna do, but maybe we don't go to Casey Lake, we don't go to Northwood, because those are getting picked up.
Yeah.
Where I've had people complain to me is honestly near bus stops, because
Yeah.
we've called the bus stations before and asked for trash cans near some of these places in North St. Paul, and they won't do it because they don't have the manpower to go and change the trash. So people stand at the bus stops and they just throw their trash. And 11th Avenue is really bad. There's several bus stops along there, and because of Target and Cub and Home Depot, you just get a lot. So like maybe it's roadways near our parks, like because
Yeah, 'cause
Postal
11th
Credit Union, whatever we call that park,
That's
that's
the Postal Credit Union.
that's our park. Like, we could just have people spread along 11th between, you know, the North St. Paul part between Ariel and McKnight.
Yeah.
And even McKnight Fields, I bet I've seen that outside McKnight Fields is pretty gross by the highway.
Yeah, is it Dave on city council? Who's
Yeah.
is that Dave who does?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
Dave.
he's the arts assigned commission.
Troy. Yes.
Troy and I did the woodland area outside McKnight, right off of
Yeah.
on McKnight, and there was a lot there. Yeah, because the other parks we went to.
So that would be my suggestion. Do
I like
the
that.
environmental one over by the Holiday on like McKnight outside, and then like on 11th Street for the environmental. If you guys think of any, and then the Rotary Park would probably be a good one too. It may not be as trashed, but
Well, they can go on both sides of the gateway too, if they feel like it.
Yeah. I think
I
that
like
sounds
that.
wonderful.
Yeah.
What times do you think would be best to run this? Is it more of a morning thing, afternoon?
It's a morning thing.
I would say late morning, possibly early afternoon, because if we have bad weather, I think it's extra unlikely people are going to want to be out in the morning.
Well, although people do want to, the advantage of having it in the morning, like 9 to 11 or something like
Yeah,
that, something reasonable. The hardcore cleanup crew will arrive early and leave late. That's just what happens. But if you say 9 to 11, then people can go, oh, yeah, well, I can still do that thing in the afternoon, but it's, yeah, oh, I see, that's in the morning. I feel like that helps draw people as well. But if you have it go into the afternoon, then they feel like, oh, well, that day, the whole
Yeah,
day.
selfishly, I wouldn't want to do something in that, like, I'd want my afternoon free to do what I was going to do for the day, but usually I have the morning before noon free, that would be easy to squeeze in, but.
Do we think like maybe 10 to noon would be too late? I just want to
No.
capitalize on as warm as possible.
Yeah,
In case
10
it's
to,
a
10 to noon
cold
sounds
day.
good. How long do we normally do
say?
it for?
2 hours,
Oh,
which we can do it, we can certainly do it longer. I just think you start to lose people's.
I think a 2-hour
interest.
commitment's, yeah.
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 3 hours is a much bigger commitment.
Yes. Well, perfect. So what I'll do is I'll start to put that together. We can start to get that promoted. And then at next meeting, we can discuss who might want to take point at each of those locations.
Yeah.
And kind of go from there.
And what were the 3 places we were thinking of again? What
So
did you
the
say?
Urban Ecology Center, specifically along South Avenue. The Postal Credit Union Pond, but specifically along 11th Avenue.
Can we, I don't know what that is. Okay, so just
It's
look up the
next to,
Postal Credit
it's next to
Union.
Subway.
The one by Target?
Yeah, so it's across from Target. There's a pond,
And there's a path.
and there's a Subway, and there's like a little walk path around it.
We're just doing that because,
This thing?
Yep.
we're just doing that because
okay.
of,
See, every time I drive by
Courtesy,
that, I think
because
that's the Urban Eco
didn't
Center.
we establish
I know.
that that's not
Oh,
ours, that's
okay.
not a park?
It's still city-owned.
Yeah.
Still city-owned, we'll go with it that way. Okay, yep. Okay.
And then the third location for the parks would be the McKnight Fields.
And then the Rotary Park.
And then,
We'll take the lead on that.
and Silver Lake has to be
Yes.
a part of it,
Yep.
too. Okay.
I assume I should be around, but I can take the Urban Ecology Center.
I can do the Postal Credit Union pond thing.
I will have to be done by 11:45, but I could start a little earlier too, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, I will come back with the next meeting with all the information compiled neatly and nicely, and then we can talk to everybody else and have the plan moving forward.
Can I just double check so I understood that long presentation correctly? I can't just post and say, does anyone want to come help park cleanup?
I think
Social
you
media?
can, but then like we can't post on it. Like we can't comment on it.
You can't add to it.
Yeah.
'Cause I was confused
But
about that.
that's data.
Can't you call that an
And
event?
even you posting that personally, that still qualifies as it's the role of you as a commissioner. So if someone asks for information, that would be included.
Well, we can call it an event, or whatever we need to call it, a meeting. That way, if we just,
Which I will do for this cleanup day.
yes, that's my suggestion is,
Yeah, I feel like I might have done that in the past where I posted things like, come to the Fire and Ice Festival, just for like, I have a lot of friends on my Facebook page that live in North St. Paul, and I'm like, I just want to help promote these events, but now it sounds like I'm
I
not
know.
supposed to be promoting events.
No, from what I understood, that inherently is not an issue. It's just if there was a data request for your information.
Oh, then I just have to share with them?
Yes.
Okay,
And
no
then
problem.
that means that.
'Cause there's
there
nothing
shouldn't
malicious
be-
there.
There shouldn't be multiple of us commenting on your post then.
Sarah, I'm not trying to give you anything more to do because I'm sure you're too busy, but would it be a good idea for us to have just guidelines? Like, for example, one of us can post something, I'm not on social media, so I don't really have to worry about it, but social media can be such a great tool for getting people to events. So I think to protect any of us who were going to post on social media, can we just clarify that? And, I know it's all right there, but can we just put it in, like, for example, Sarah could post, that would be data, and we shouldn't, like, respond to her post. Can we, like, draw up our own guidelines?
historically, we've usually talked to the city before we've done it. And, like in your case, hey, I'd like to do this.
A
I'd like-
post.
I'd like to do a post.
Yeah.
Send it to the city and let the
I've
city.
never done that, Lloyd.
Yeah.
I just do it.
Yeah, so.
Because it's like for my friends, like I'm not friends with everybody in the city. I'm friends with my neighbors and like
Right.
you and like this person and like, it's more just, a lot of neighbors don't check the city website, but they'll see it when you post it, you know, or they know Sarah's involved, so they probably know if Sarah posts it, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Theoretically,
Yeah, I don't know. I want to protect all of us from accidentally doing the wrong thing.
Well, what I'll do, I'm not comfortable making that myself. So I will ask Jack to see if he has some sort of guidelines that he can certainly provide that brings
Yeah.
clarity.
I mean, it's probably all here, but, you know, maybe it's
It's
just-
probably too tricky, because if he just writes down like 5 things, then legally it doesn't encompass everything.
Right,
Like, I would say, Ingrid, as nice as that would be, I think it just has to be more of a, he's probably going to come annually and talk about this or something, and then we, as a group, discuss it if we have new members, just, because I remember when I came in, somebody told me, like, 3 of you can't be, you know,
Yeah,
like,
right.
like it was told to me,
Emailing,
so yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I emailed the whole council one time
Yes.
with my opinion.
That's how we learned
or
about it.
Not the council, the commission.
Commission.
Said, I'm not going to be at the meeting. This is my opinion.
Well, that was a long time
For
ago,
which-
probably. Right?
For which the city manager
Yeah, okay.
went naughty, naughty.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else left about the citywide cleanup? Are we good?
Nope.
Okay, next.
My other quick updates, as you see on your desk, I have made a brochure about our parks. This was recommended by a community member, and so I put this together.
Oh, nice.
If you have feedback, let me know. Otherwise, I plan on, staff approved it. It's intended to just be high level, like what does each park provide, not any sort of details. Details are available on our website, but I can put this available to start at least here at City Hall and then have an electronic version as well. But any feedback? Yes.
Upon seeing this now for the first time, I think having just this front part with the QR code posted at our parks, perhaps in a little laminated thing, either like on a building or a sign or whatever, I think that would be handy. And then possibly in like Casey and like Housey, like inside the well-protected buildings, we could have some of these flyers, so someone could grab some.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could be good.
Good idea.
Great job, Sarah. Good brochure.
Yeah, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I can add graphic design to my resume.
Yes.
One of your many talents.
And then the quick other updates, so I know we talked about switching gears to McKnight Fields, and we are in possession of all the documents regarding the land restrictions. It doesn't look like there's any land restrictions any longer, therefore storage will be necessary by Public Works and Electric. So we're aware of that could be an option. So at our next meeting, Ron, our Public Works Director, is going to come present what we found, what they will need as storage out there, and what the steps moving forward would be. Okay.
Excellent.
I have been working with Ken so much on this DNR grant, potentially for Casey Lake Park and the hockey rink. It's due on Tuesday, so we submitted the preliminary one, got really good feedback on it. So we're submitting the final one on Tuesday. As soon as we hear from that, we'll communicate and let you know. And a final decision will need to be made by the Parks Commission if you wanted to move forward with the grant or not. They award that in June though, so it'll be a little while. And then the last thing I referenced in the email, last month, we have a firefighter here on the North St. Paul Department that is in the medallion hunt community and likes to run them. He's part of the one that runs the St. Paul Winter Carnival one. He does South St. Paul, has a parks one that he does all year round. He just is like super passionate about it. Essentially, he would take all of the responsibility. He makes the medallions. He does the clues. We just posted on social media. He works with businesses to get prizes. Really, there's nothing to be done with the city. Council is supportive of it, so want to get your final thoughts before we let him start doing these. It sounds like council's only hesitation was they don't want to do it year-round. They want it to be more of they don't want it to get watered down. I'll say that. So make them bigger deals if we're going to do it. Otherwise, they're supportive. Just want to get your thoughts on that. And
I was so excited reading about that. I was like,
I was
this
looking at
sounds
Rachel.
incredible. I would love if the firefighter would like volunteers, I would love to help.
Okay.
It sounds like an awesome opportunity.
Let 'em
Sounds
know.
like a really cool thing for the city. I'm very supportive.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
And I think there were some, I didn't read about it in detail, but he was saying, be careful in the park. There are rules about how you can look in a park.
Absolutely.
And so that the park land and shrubs and all of that won't be hurt by the hunt. Okay.
Yep, and there'll never be digging involved. I mean, there should
Right.
never be anything that destroys or defaces anything in the parks.
Yeah. I like it.
Seems like a great idea, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Well, that's all from me, so.
All right, we can do reports from commissioners. We'll start at the front with Rachel. Any reports?
Okay, so this is just general business. We're not doing the parks. Right?
Both.
Is-
Both.
Oh,
We're going to
both.
call it both.
Combined it, yeah.
Yeah, we'll
combined
combine it.
Okay. I swung by Northwood before this, and they have the Gaga pit out in the hockey rink, and it's beautiful.
Great.
I'm thinking perhaps we want to like announce, like, hello, look at this new feature
Yes.
we have.
Oh.
This is what it is.
I think they just did that today, so yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Oh, they just put it out today.
Yeah.
Oh, today.
I'm pretty
looks
sure
like
it was
brand
today.
You chose the right day to swing by that park.
Oh, the Gaga Pit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Went
Either
out,
today or
there-
yesterday,
was there
yeah.
last weekend.
oh, okay.
Be nice to have, if we could put a sign or something.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I
Gaga
think if
pit.
we also have like a laminated sign explaining like this is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that'll be helpful. When do we discuss summer meetings? As in like in the parks?
Anytime.
Okay. Can we add that to the agenda for next month? To figure out where and when we're going?
Good idea.
That's an Ava thing. I already did that. Okay, I am done.
Great.
All right, Ingrid.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Nothing.
Lloyd?
Can we get supplies to clean up like Southwood? I'd come and get them from, you got them at the city that we can pick up?
Sure, like garbage bags. and
Yeah,
such.
yeah, that's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna need,
I
yes.
can pull that together for you.
Yep, yep. Because it's gonna, right now, it's gonna be me, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I can do that.
All right.
Otherwise, no, I'm good.
All right. I know we had discussed a while back about ribbon cutting at Polar. And do we know when that is and when that will be?
Not yet. I do have that, as soon as they can get in there to get the new wood chips put in, immediately I'll get that scheduled, so it's on my radar.
All right. I don't think I have anything else for me. All right. Would like you to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Nope, nope.
Just a second.
Yeah, second it.
Oh, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Adjourned.
Perfect.